Okay, when we quit on the first video, we had just put a formula in here. It's one of the D functions, D count, and we specified the range, and we said which column we wanted to count, and then the criteria. And if you're counting, you can count any column that has numbers in it. So we could do any one of these 5 columns here, but just not the first 2. We'd have to use a count A for that. In this one, we want the number of shares, which means we want to sum the numbers that are in this column here. So that's going to be a D sum. So let's go to our insert function and let's scroll down until we get to D sum and click on OK. And our database again is from here over and down to, and the field that we want to sum, we got to be careful which one we give this time. It's column 3 in the table. This is column 1, column 2, column 3. So we're going to put the number 3 in there. You could also put the word shares in there. And then we're going to, for our criteria range, it's going to be the same as it was before, and it's this area right here. And we can go ahead and click on OK. And it tells us we have 12,950 shares of stock. Now I should be able to verify that just by dragging the mouse over these numbers right here and looking in the lower right hand corner here on the status bar. And it tells me that I have the count is 12 and the sum is 12,950. So it looks like I'm doing good so far. The last thing we want is we want to know the highest total current value, which is column G. Okay, so that's the column I want to look at. That is column 7 of my table. And we're doing the same database, we're doing the same criteria range. So let's go to this, and I want to use D max. Click on OK. My database is this. Whoa. Okay. And the field I want is field number 7. And the criteria range again is going to be the same as before. It's going to be these cells right here. And click on OK. And the highest value in this column here, it says is $66,187, and that's this number right here. And the numbers are different because this is the exact value, and what I've got over here is numbers rounded to the nearest dollars, but that is the biggest number in the column. Okay, now let's go to the lookup. We have a little table here, a little lookup table, and the first thing you want to notice about the table is that these are not numbers here, which tells you right away that you have to do an exact lookup, which means you have to use all 4 arguments in the VLOOKUP function. So I want to look up the cost, which would be the 3rd column of my lookup table. And so that's going to be a lookup and reference, and it's going to be the VLOOKUP is the only one of these that we did. And the lookup value is whatever is in this cell, G2. And my table array is this. You don't include the column headings, and the column index is column 3. And I want to do an exact lookup, and if you read the instructions down here, it says to find an exact match, put false in there. So let's put false. And so the stroller is 145.67, and that's correct. And then we want to look up the markup, which would be column 4. So we're going to do another VLOOKUP. So let's go to our lookup and reference here and go to VLOOKUP. And lookup values again is G2. The table array is again the same. And the column index number is column 4 this time. And again, we are doing an exact lookup, so we have to do false. And click on OK. And it should, okay, now it's not formatting that as percent like it is over here, but I can make them the same if I just go here and say format that as percent. And if I go up here and I type in bib instead, it should change to the numbers on the bib row here, which are 356 and 40%. And let's try another one. Wipes is 512 and 40%, so it's working. Okay, and then the last thing is some 3-dimensional formulas here. And what we want is we want to do from B3, which is here, down to D6, which is here, compute the totals by adding the corresponding cells on the 2015 and 2016 coffee worksheets. So in this cell, I want to put a formula, so you got to start with an equal sign in the cell, and then we're going to go find the number for French coffee for North from 2015, and keep an eye on your formula up here. And then what I want to do is I want to do a plus sign after it. And then I want to go to 2016. I want to click on the same number. And there's my formula. Now do not click back on Coffee Summary. Instead hit enter because we're done with the formula. And then get your fill handle, drag that down. They're relative cell references. So this will change to a B4 and a B5 and a B6. And then when we've got all 4 of those, we can drag them across. And if you want to double check on them, this is doing D6 from the other 2, D5, D4, D3, and so on. And there are no instructions on the last 2. Those are just there so we can do our coffee summary. And that is the end of the practice test. If you know how to do those 6 things, you should be in pretty good shape for the actual test on Monday.